Awesome. All right, guys. Once again, my name is Eric Nyezer, a cloud and DevOps engineer with Solavis Tech for the past close to getting to 5 years now. The CIO, managing courses, and most of the things, but I'm more into cloud. It's a pleasure to have you for this amazing, insightful, impactful session, where today we are taking off on one of those things that we always do best on our 2 weekly sessions. Every 2 weeks, we have a session like this for anyone out there to join our community and learn, build your skill, build your profile, and take yourself to the next level, right? So today we're having a project, and after this project, what will be coming up is definitely going to be a podcast session where we bring in experts from the tech space. They could be in the recruitment space, or just professionals to come and talk to our community. And so without much ado, I'm going to open the floor for our facilitator, our lead for this project session, right? He might, he's going to give us the topic and probably break it down further. And before that, he's going to introduce himself. After introducing himself, we are going to right? Maybe over opposite the roadside, the person is your neighbor, and you don't know that he has joined this session, right? So we want to hear from Prof. Boris. After that, we want to hear from each and everyone that's on the call right now before we start the session. Hello, Prof. The mic is yours.
Thank you very much, Eric. Just confirm if you can hear me and I'm audible enough.
Yes, you're very audible.
Okay, great. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you all join this session today. My name is Boris Nforbi. So I currently work as a machine learning engineer, and I also do consult as a data engineer as well. So on a daily basis, what we do is build data models, build machine learning models that do predictions, that do automate processes. And so for Solavis Tech now, and I've been leading the machine learning department now for the past 2 years now. And so we run across trainings, we run across consulting, and we also do live projects like these where we also get to show people what is out there and the skills that are out there that they can actually leverage on and be able to make some of their work life easier. And so this is just going to be one of those sessions where we're just going to be exploring just something small out of a very big tech space, where we're going to just actually see how you can actually create something that your organization or your team or wherever you find yourself, where people can actually interact with these and get information from, say, your database, for example. And people can actually ask questions directly, like what you people do with ChatGPT. You just go and ask. But then in this case, it's going to be different because people are going to be asking contextual questions. For example, let's say you're running a business, say a hospital, for example. That's just a very big example. And then you have people who are collaborating with you and they want to know, for example, how many patients have been enrolled in the hospital this week? Normally, if you work in that space as a data person, all the times that means they would have to contact you and ask you, oh, what's going on? And you will be the one to go into the database, pull the data, analyze it, and send it to them. But today's project, we're going to be looking at the possibility to automate this process and let them ask the questions to some sort of a chatbot or something, let it go and do the analysis for them and send them the output to their email, and they don't have to call you. That way you get the opportunity to sit down and drink some coffee while you improve yourself, maybe getting some new certifications for yourself or learning some new tech. So that's just going to be what we'll be looking at. Let me keep it here and let's anticipate to see how this is going to go as we are looking forward to start. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you so much, Prof. I think everyone is already excited. Like you're mentioning, maybe for joining, so those who are hearing this for the first time, you'll be wondering what this is all going to be. But don't worry, just relax. Everything will be broken down for you to understand. So I want to hear Kwashi. Kwashi would like to know where you're joining from, just briefly. Okay, all right. Kwashi says she's a student joining from Accra, Ghana. All right, Kwashi, it's a pleasure to have you. Best man, We would like to hear where you are, where you're joining from, sir. Kindly unmute yourself.
Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. I am Bestman and a student of Solavice, an alumni. I'm joining from Abuja and I'm into machine learning engineering and data science. Pleasure to be here to see how the bot we're going to create is going to integrate into my time series forecasting model. So I'm excited. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Glad to know that you're joining right from Nigeria. Want to hear from Shu Brownson?
Good evening to everyone. Brownson, I'm a second year computer engineering student at the University of Bamenda. Yes, I'm joining from Bamenda.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Nice to know you. Okay, well, Ola maybe is getting ready. Let's go to
Okay, sorry, my
okay.
my network froze. Okay, my name
All
is
right, that's fine.
Olaoluwa Folami. I'm here in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm a DevOps engineer. So I'm pleased to be here. I would like to learn on how to use AI agent and see what I can build from.
Awesome,
from
awesome.
yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
That's exciting. That's exciting to know. I thought this was only restricted for the data science and ML people, but I know that cloud to everyone is here, right? Kelvin, you're the last person. So just go briefly within 30 seconds where you're joining from, what you do, what are your expectations for the session?
Kelvin Clark, Owusu Kelvin Clark. I'm a Ghanaian. I'm currently working in Morocco as a software engineer. I joined because I've heard people talk about n8n and automating stuff, etc. And I saw this as an opportunity to be able to learn about the two. Yeah, that's why I'm here. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's amazing. Everyone, we are global, right? So feel free to interact with everyone after the session. We have Esther joining right from Kenya, Nairobi, right? It's a pleasure to have you, Esther and BT. So we're going to start right away. I'm going to hand over, and just to get us ready, this is going to be a bit intensive, right? It's not going to be a small project, right? It's going to be a very intensive project. So get ready and open your mind to learn. Prof, I'm handing over everything to you. So thank you.
Okay, Eric, thank you very much. I hope screen sharing is enabled. Yes, let me just go ahead and share my screen and just put, I hope you can see my screen, Eric. You should be seeing my notepad with some steps outlined.
Yes.
Just to confirm.
Yes.
Okay, good afternoon once more. So before we go into building the solution that we want to build, I want to recall again, want to explain the sort of problem that we would be solving with such a flow, right? And so I would want, and when I'm explaining, you want to put yourself in a different context based on your environment or based on what you're doing. And then you begin to imagine how that can apply to you. I'm going to be explaining this from as a statistician and from a statistical standpoint, like what we do as analysts. And then if you are a DevOps person, if you're working in any different other space, you now begin to see how you can relate this to your own environment. So let's think of this in this way. Assuming in your organization, you have a database. And in your database, you have your team working from different environments and sending in data into that database. That means that database keeps populating. And now within your team, from time to time, people, or let's even assume not even your team, let's assume that you even have consumers or customers that want to access your organization and they want to get information about the things you're doing, and they want to get insight into what is going on within your organization, for example, about your products, about your services, about the things that you do. And obviously, you are not going to be available 24/7 where, okay, every client who wants to know some information now comes and texts you and say, hey, I want to know about so and so product or so and so service in your organization, what is going on. So you want it in such a way that when your clients or your customers or your teammates want to get information, they have the possibility to go in and get that information themselves without possibly having to text you. And possibly if you've been checking recently, you'll notice that websites begin to incorporate something they call chatbots into their websites, where you go, you log into a website, you see a small thing there like that where you can click and it start asking you, hey, what can I do for you today? You interact with it directly, and when you pass it, you type your question, it answers your question and asks you ask another question and it answers, and you get to interact with that chatbot, which is that is an agent. So that is an agent that's just sitting there using the organization's database, and then also with some sort of a brain. And with all of these put together, it has the ability to understand your question, interpret it, get customized response from your database, and then be able to give you a reply that matches what you're asking for. And so you can see these being applied across different solutions where people can use this as chatbots on their websites or on different platforms. As a data analyst, you can use it as, say, for example, your boss or your team needs you to be able to send them some analysis on a weekly basis or on a daily basis or on some basis. And it's so redundant. You don't want to keep doing that, right? And so you want to make it in such a way that they can go in themselves and get the analysis by just asking the question, hey, can you give me the analysis for blah, blah, blah for this week? And they get highlights of that analysis sent to them as an email automatically, and they don't have to get to you. And so you can imagine yourself integrating this at different levels based on the problem you're trying to solve. So that is these are some examples which are some real life challenges that such a solution can be able to solve. And so for us to be able to implement such a solution, the first thing we are going to look at is we're going to have some sort of let me just pull up something. Say I can pull up my PowerPoint where I can have the possibility to draw. Now, for us to be able to get such a solution, right, we're going to need some things put in place. For example, okay, let me use this. Okay, the first thing, like we were explaining, to get such a solution is you want somebody to be able to come in and ask a question, for example. So that question that we're talking about is going to be your trigger, right? Let me preferably go with shapes rather than do these, right? So let me see, I'm going to be getting some shapes here. So you want somebody to be able to come in and ask a question. And so when that is going to be your trigger. And so when that person asks a question, what you expect to do is that you expect some brain to be able to take that question, something that can reason, that's what I'm saying, to be able to take that question. And once it takes that question from the user, there should be, say, a data source where it's going to be getting it from. And in addition to the data source, there should be some sort of memory. For example, if I ask the first question and then I'm asking the second question, that should be able to record the first question that I asked. Or if I ask up to 5 questions, it should be able to have some level of memory to remember the things that you have asked before. And then so that it's like you're chatting to a human being. So like the flow is consistent. It shouldn't just be like I send the first message and then when I ask the second message, it doesn't even remember what was happening. And then after that, now you need, since you have to send it, you need to put something where it's going to be sending to, for example, say an email. So this is just, let me just link this up now with some, say, arrows or something. So let me come and insert some arrows here, and then we see how that is going to look like. I'm going to pick this, for example. I'm going to have an arrow from here. And then from here, I get another arrow that says it can take from here. Sorry, I need an arrow, not a shape. I need an arrow. Yep. So you can get from here to here, as well as from here to here, as well as we can do another D. Extend this. This has to be able to talk here. So, and if we are supposed to say label what we are doing here, so here we have our trigger, which is definitely going to be some, say for example, a question from the person, which can be a question from a user, right? That's what can trigger the workflow. Let me shift this up. And so once we get that, we get some sort of a brain. Here, when we look at the brain, we're looking at what is going to reason what we are talking about. And then after that now, we're going to look at some, we're going to have some data source. We're going to have some sort of a data source here. And then the data source will be your database, right? Because if you go and ask ChatGPT, if you have your organization and you go and ask ChatGPT a question about your organization, now it's just going to give you, it cannot give you a customized answer based on your organization the way you want it to be. So you need to have a database that is customized to your organization. Here we need some sort of memory that can be able to recall previous conversations that you've had with it. And that's what you notice with these AI models, these large language models out there. And then here we have some sort of output, right? What you want to get or where you want it to send. And in this case, say our output could be an email, for example. Our output could be an email. Yep. And then we thinking of a brain. For the brain, you can use anything. So this is something that you want to look at. So let me go ahead and show you an example of such a flow. And then we are going to now see how we can build that flow step by step, which is going to solve a problem. So when I was preparing for this project, Eric, please, we would normally get questions at the end of the session. So you'll just keep track of the questions as I'm going. And then once we're done, we're going to come back and answer all the questions. So if you want to see, let's see an example of such a flow. So what I would have to do is, let me open my browser. So for me to get that, I would have to see my own solution that I've built, and then we'll see what we get from there, right? So for me to do that, I will have to boot my Docker, and I would connect to my n8n solution online. We're going to see how to do all of this out when we directly. So don't bother. Why is this host not connecting? Should connect to. Huh. This is getting the connection issue. Okay, so I had some examples built out here just for the sake of this illustration. So this is something that we're going to be looking at. So like I earlier mentioned, we're going to have a trigger, which can be like a message. And this trigger is going to be looking at, you're going to have a brain. Your brain here is going to be an AI agent. And in this case, you can use any of them. Here you see we are using OpenAI. You can use Gemini or anyone. You can use Claude. Yeah, a lot of them out there. You can use whichever one as long as you have an API to it. We need some sort of memory. We need a data source. In this case, we're using a Google Sheet. And then we need your output going to, say, an email, for example. And that is what the recipient is going to see. And so in this workflow, what we are doing is that we are assuming that our data source is an it's a Google Sheet. This was easy to implement with the Google Sheet. But if your case is a database, then you have your database administrator be able to create your authentication, and you also can be able to go ahead and do that here directly. And then we get an output. In this case, we're sending back to a Gmail account. So, it's going to be the same thing. So this is going to be the simple outflow. And so let's see how to set this up step by step, and then we see the results at the end of the day. So I'll just leave this, and then I'll come back to the step file that I have here. And so for us to start, first of all, we will need to have a possibility to have n8n. n8n is a platform on which you build AI agent flows. Now, they normally do have a cloud environment which is paid. So you can also subscribe for their cloud services, and you pay where you host your own n8n, where it's going to be running automatically as you host it there. So that one is actually a paid service. But in addition to the paid service, there's also a free service where you can actually host your n8n locally. And it's a Node.js application, but most of the times I prefer to run Docker. For those who know about containerization, it's going to solve me the problem of dependencies, where they'll be telling me that is not available, that is not available, because of the different dependencies that you need to run on. So I prefer to always install it on Docker, and so that I can actually have it execute directly. And for those people who do not know Docker, Docker is an application that you can use to manage your, how do you call it, you call them containers, Eric? So this is what we call Docker. You see this application that I have here, it's a Docker desktop. How do you get Docker? So for you to get Docker, you can just go to your browser directly, and say, for example, you can go ahead and say Docker download. You can just download it directly, depending on whatever system you're using. Install Docker on Windows, for example. Me, I'm running my Docker on Windows. So if you're using a Mac, you're using a Linux, or whichever one you're working on, so you would have to come here and then you download the one that you need. So because mine is already downloaded, I'm not going to download it again. So you have to come, click this, and you have the executable that will run. And once that is done, you would come to say download. For example, I think mine is still running, still downloading. It's a bit heavy, so once it's done downloading, you come to your downloads folder here. You have the executable there, and you're going to go ahead and directly install your Docker directly on your local machine. Now, once you're done installing Docker, since mine is already installed, but it's very simple to install, so there are no complicated steps as far as installing Docker is concerned. Mine is already installed. As you can see, mine is already running. So once you install your Docker, it's going to take you to an environment like this, where you have things like this. So you're going to now come to this part that says Docker images. Now, what is an image? Let me explain this for the non-technical people that are on the call, so that they understand what this Docker is and what all of this is doing. What is happening here is, take an example, say that you want to cook what good example can we use? Say you want to cook soup, for example. You want to have your end product, what you want at the end of the day is tomato sauce. And so tomato sauce is the end product that you want. But to get tomato sauce, which is the product, being good, being the end product, which is good and consumable and can be used, there are a lot of dependencies. And these dependencies, we are looking at things like, you need some spices, you need those are your ingredients, some seasoning like salt or Maggi or whichever seasoning you want to use. So you see, you need all of these put together to be able to constitute which you label as tomato sauce. And so for you to have good tomato that can be consumed, then you need all these dependencies. And so what do? you get a pod, put all these dependencies inside, and that will be able, and then at the end of the day, you get a product that is called, for example, tomato sauce, for example. So which has all the dependencies within the same pod. So for you to run n8n, it has its own dependencies. So what we have done, or what developers have done, is that they have taken all these dependencies and packaged them together. They have packaged them together, and say, for example, if n8n is running, it will definitely need some sort of a database. It's going to have different execution script, all the different packages that it needs to be able to run. So they bring all these packages together in one small package that is called a Docker image, or you call it an n8n Docker image. And so they deploy it online, where you can now just go and download it directly and run, and you don't need to install the dependencies individually. You don't need to install a database, for example, if you need one. You don't need to create an environment where you're going to put the different. So what you need to do is just go online and look for that Docker image that has already been packaged. You pull it and you run it. So you don't need anything. So that's what we are calling a Docker image. So what you do is, once you come here, come to images, you can just search. And once you go online, you're going to be searching for n8n IO. So normally this is supposed to run online, but let's see, you can go to another way. There is a Docker repository online, for example, for those that would like to, to see it from online directly. Let me see if I can pull Docker repo. Let me get a Docker repository on. So it's called a Docker hub, where you have the different containers that are available. The reason, because mine is already running, so if I search it, you might not see it because you think it's not there. But if you actually go and search it, you'll see this thing. So there are different images, and I think if I search here directly, I should be able to get n8n IO. You see, this is it. The n8n IO is the Docker image that you need to be able to run. And so, but this is just to show you that it's actually available on the Docker repository, Docker hub online. It's a public repository, so you can actually access it and pull the image from there. What organizations do is that if they have their private application that they do and they package it as a Docker image, they don't deploy it to a public repository, right? They'll put it into a private repository where other users can also do that. So, but in this case, since this one is publicly available, we could also go and download it directly from the Docker hub. So once you are inside Docker, Docker again, you search it there, you should have the possibility to pull it. Just click on pull, and that is gonna definitely download directly. Let me see. So once you pull it down and it's already downloaded, you have it here directly, as you can see, and then you just go ahead and play it. And the moment, if you download it as a container image, you're going to have something like this. I stopped it already. So when you want to play it, for example, it's going to, this is not the one I'm looking for, this is the one. You can play it and it's going to start running directly on your, you can even delete it and do another one. But the thing is that if I delete it and I want to download it, it might take a lot of time for us to be able to run it. But once you pull your own Docker image into your Docker, which is locally installed, you can directly go and run it, and you will have Docker that image installed on your local Docker, and you can directly go and you can directly play it, and then you'll be able to see, you access it. So when you play it, you take the opportunity to run. Once you want to run, it's definitely going to ask you for a port number. I advise you keep this local port, which is 5678. I advise you keep it, because I remember there was a Docker thing that I run for this party for n8n, and I changed the Docker repository. So when I wanted to generate the redirect URL, I had a problem. So I advise you maintain the same you maintain the same port number and don't change it, because they don't give you the possibility to change that auth URL, so you're going to get authentication problems. So please make sure you keep the same port number and then you run it. So when you run it, it's normally supposed to show you the logs, and it's showing you what is going to be happening. It's going to run it, and once it's done running, you see it tells you that editor is not accessible via. It gives you the URL, which you can just click on directly, and you see it's opening your Docker, your this thing directly. For those of you who are new to it, so you have to create an account, right? So for example, I'm going to use my email directly, and I'm going to give it a password. You create your own password, you accept. Oh no, I don't want security to receive security product. Oh no, I don't want that. So you go ahead and take next. And then you can just skip all of these and get started. It's going to send you a free activation key, which is going to go to your email address. You can activate it directly from there. If I open my email directly from here, I should be able to get that. Click the send. Let me see. It's still loading. Let's give it a minute. Okay, so this is my license activation key, which you can just activate directly from here. And so, yeah, so you can leave the settings and then you come back to this environment. So this is going to be your n8n environment that is running locally on your computer. So that's how you get n8n running on your local computer. But if it's going to be in a cloud environment, again, you can as well go and do the same thing in cloud directly, and you have the cloud environment. So what we're going to do is that we're going to create a new workflow, for example. And so this takes you to this window where you can actually create your workflow. And so on this window, this is where you actually be able to define all these things that you've seen me define here on this window. So you are going to see how we are going to put a trigger, pull up these, and then we get all of these working. So I'm going to come back here, which is where we are all working from. And so the first thing that you would want to set up is you want to put up a trigger like this. And you want, that is where the people who want to be talking to your agent would, whatever, where they are going to be passing in their prompt or whatever they want to pass. So you double click on this and it's going to pull up a window here for you. And to also indicate that n8n is a no code to low code environment. So you actually really don't need some advanced programming to be able to do this. So it's a low code to no code environment. So here I could just go ahead and you see what triggered this flow. It's asking you so that you do not get it off. It's asking you what triggers this flow. And in this case, we said what will trigger our flow should be a chat. So I'm just gonna go ahead and look for chat. And if I search chat, I get this option here that says a chat trigger, and I'm going to just click on it, right? Now, when I click on it, it puts me on this, it brings up this window. I'm just going to open it to the public so we can interact with it directly. And then we just scroll down here, you see it gives you these small fields here that you can actually customize. So you get initial message or messages. So the question is, when somebody comes to that chat, what does when somebody opens that chatbot or something, for those who have actually seen the chatbot, when you open it, what is the initial message you see? What is it that you see there that the person can actually, that can actually guide the person? So for example, I would take this and I'll keep the hey there, and then I'll say, I am your, say, data analyst. Let's do this as uppercase so that it looks assistant. So what assistant? So I need a T here. So what can I help you with today? So this is going to be the initial message that when you come in, you're going to see. So let's put this as uppercase. So this is going to be our initial message. Let's just add a field and let's add a title to our message and say analysis. So because we want to be getting our analysis of our database, that's what this project is going to be doing. Analysis highlight. So in this project, we are going to be getting, we are going to be querying the database and getting a result of the analysis of our data. And that will be automatically done by the agent, and you will not be the one analyzing it. So let's add another field, and this time around, let's get the response mode, and we're just going to keep it when the last node finishes. What that means is that you want to get a response to this question, whatever question that the person is going to put here, when the last node on this execution finishes. That's when you want to get a response, because it's a flow. So I think we're going to leave it like that. Of course, when you don't have a button to hit here that says when you are done setting all of this, you're going to hit save. No. So how you save is that once you're done with all of these, once you're done writing all of this, you just come back to this open space here on your n8n environment, and then you hit and you click there directly, and you see that it's created a chart for you. And you can see the moment I do that, it has this place that you can, you can open a chat, and then you can actually type a message here directly, right? Because we've already prompted that to do that. So that's the first, that's the trigger that we've set up, okay? That's the trigger we've set up. And so now the next thing is, after we've set up the trigger, that means this is where we can actually come and pass a message. The next thing we're going to do is that we're now going to add a brain to this trigger, just like we illustrated here. And the brain is going to be what is going to be able to reason out whatever the user is, the user has asked. And in this case, this is where we need some sort of a large language model. You can use any one. So this is what I do. If I want to do coding, I like Claude for coding. I mean, I just feel like it does better for me. You can have different preferences. When it comes to writing, I do use ChatGPT from OpenAI. When it comes to say search, for example, I can use Gemini for search. So these different large language models that are already available out there, you can use anyone based on what you want. But in this case, let's just, since I already have an API with OpenAI, I'm going to use OpenAI for this. So I'm just going to click on this plus sign here, and I'm going to click AI agent, okay? And once I click on this, look at what is going to happen. It takes me to a page that looks like this. It takes you to a page that looks like this. And what you have here is tip, get a feel of agents with a quick tutorial OC. You can click on this to get examples online. And then source of prompt, you have connect chat trigger, that because that's what we indicated here. That's our source of prompt. Prompt, that's the user message, that's going to be the chat input. And then we're going to come down here, and I'm going to click this add option message and take this thing that says system message. And I'm going to explain what this system message is. And when you look at this, it says you are a helpful assistant. Now, let me explain something here. This system message is what we call a system prompt. This system prompt is what is going to help your AI agent know what to do with the trigger that the user is going to send in. So it's going to know what to do with the trigger, and it governs the action that will be taken, and also governs the output that you expect to get. I recommend that for these, you can use another large language model to generate this prompt for you. That is what I do. And when you look at the community, what people do most of the time, they recommend this strongly. Unless you are a first generation prompt engineer that you can actually write that prompt yourself, I request that you can use ChatGPT or whichever one that you want to use to generate this prompt for you. Now, down here, after we are going to generate this and add here, okay? We're going to generate this and add here. Down here, you see something that says a chat model. You have to add a chat model. So which one you're going to choose? Is it OpenAI? Is it going to be Gemini? Is it going to be, you have the possibility to add memory, and then you have the possibility to add your data source. But let's go ahead and do that. So let's generate a prompt that we are going to use for this. So I can easily use ChatGPT for this. Well, we'll have to pull this window to this. I can open a new chat on ChatGPT, and then I'm going to generate a prompt for my workflow. So here I'm going to prompt ChatGPT to write that prompt for me. So I'm going to say, for example, I always like to give some context into what I'm doing, just so it understands exactly what you're looking for. So I am building a workflow on n8n. So this workflow, I like to give some context, okay? I like to do this. This workflow is going to pull data from a Google Sheet, analyze this data using OpenAI API, and send an email to a Gmail account. That's what I've passed here. So then I come down, I say, write a ready-to-use prompt. Let's call it ready-to-use system prompt that will be used for this flow. So once I do this, I will pass my request directly. Let's see what we get. So this is it, generating a ready-to-use system prompt for me that I can use on this thing. Let's see. I really don't like it when it writes my prompt and add all these small. I say I like a clean prompt without comments. I don't like the comments, okay? This one is very short. Let me see the one that I generated before. I generated one before when I was testing this. See, this is the one that it gave me before when I tested this before. You see, I gave it the command here. So give me a ready-to-use system prompt for OpenAI model that will read data from a Google Sheet, analyze the data, plot charts, and send me an email with a Gmail account. This is the first prompt I gave it initially, and it gave me this. So now I don't know why it's hallucinating, but this is the first prompt I gave it. And you see, it gave me a prompt like this one that you're seeing here like this. So it gives me a ready-to-use prompt like this, which I can just copy directly from here. So let's use this one, which it generated last time. This time around is hallucinating and giving me something I don't like. So I'm just going to copy that prompt and paste it here, right? I'll paste my prompt here, and you can read the prompt. It says you are an AI data analyst. You will receive a batch of rows coming from a Google Sheet. Each row contains structured data fields. Your task: analyze the data, identify trends, insight patterns and anomalies, compute helpful summary statistics, generate recommended actions based on the insight, create ASCII style charts or base charts that can display cleanly in an email body, for example, blah, 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 return output in the form of a JSON structured email, blah, 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 blah. You see, it gives you the prompt directly here. So that's the prompt we're going to be using. And I generated all of that with ChatGPT. I think I also did sometime, I also created another prompt with Cloud AI. Let me see, Cloud, if you log into my Cloud environment, you can see, you can also generate it with the Cloud, let me see, where you just go and prompt it and it generates the prompt for you. Let me come here. Let my prompt environment, my Cloud environment load. Oh, this is getting slow. Internet. Okay, while this is loading, let's come back to our workflow. And I think it's here now. So if I come here and I look at my charts with Cloud, you see n8n workflow, I have this chart here. So this is a prompt I got from, so I say I am creating an agent on n8n that reads, let me see, that reads data from a Google Sheet, analyzes this data and sends an email to a Gmail account. The trigger of this workflow will be a chat. So once I send that, it gives me blah, blah, it says, it returns this. And then down here, I said, I passed, say, write a ready to use system prompt that I will use for this project. And it generated a prompt like this for me, right? That I could just copy and paste. I could still copy this one and use it there. Nothing is going to change, right? It's going to be the same thing. So I could see, so it still gives you a prompt. Analyze the provide, blah, 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 blah. Analyze the framework. We are analyzing data, blah, blah, blah. So you have, this is the same prompt that it has generated for you. So when you try your own, you're going to see what is going to generate for you as a prompt that you can use. So I recommend, and once, if you follow what is done in the community, 99.9% of the people, if you are not a seasoned prompt engineer, I strongly request that you use a large language model to generate the prompts like this. So we generated our prompt and then we pasted it here. And then we are going to come down here. We have a chat model that we are going to add to this AI agent. So I'm going to click on this plus button down here. And then you see it's going to bring me up here and it's asking me which one I'm going to use. I'm going to be using OpenAI. I'm going to use OpenAI chat model. When I select this, you see it brings me here. It says credentials to connect. Now, this is where you're going to spend some coins. Now, because OpenAI APIs are not free. So you have to pay some small money. It's not much. You see what you see. It's not much. So you're going to come down here and create new credentials. You're going to create new credentials. And you see, it's going to ask you for API key. It's going to ask you for an API key. How do you get this API key? You need to create, you would navigate. If, for example, for me, I'm using OpenAI. So if you're using another one, it's fine. So you go to OpenAI. So you go to this website that says platform.openai.com. Once you log into this, if you don't have an account, you need to create one. I already have one, so it's just going to log me in directly. And you see, it takes me directly on my billing page. It says credit balance. I have $9.94. I actually paid $10. I used $10 for these, and I've used these $10 for a good number of things, and I still have $9.94 left out of the $10 that I paid. And actually, the way they calculate this money is based on some token when you pass the amount of. So, for example, if you make a request to a data to a certain data set, once it pulls that data, it tokenizes that data, and it measures the amount of tokens that it generates from that data, and it's able to calculate how much those tokens cost, and that's how it cuts this money. So for your case, since you do not have, if you don't have an account, you're going to come to payment method here, and then you're definitely going to add a credit card. So as you can see, I have my Visa card registered here where you're going to pass your credentials there, and you pay for whatever. You can choose any one, any of the models, whether it's GPT-5, 4, whatever, depends on you. So once you do that, if you already have that set up, you're going to come to API keys. Here you'll see my different API keys that I've created. Don't bother. If you read anyone, I'm going to delete it, by the way, when I'm done. So don't bother. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new secret key, right? I'm going to create a new secret key. Let's say I'm going to call it n8n, say project flow. I'll just call it like that. And the project is going to, I'll just keep it as a default project. I'm going to create the key. But I'm going to delete this key once I'm done. So once I finish, I'm going to copy the key. I come here and I paste it, right? Once I paste the key, I'm going to save it. So you see, connected successfully. So once I've done that, I'm going to click back outside here. And so I've copied, now you see OpenAI. You can choose anyone from the list. These are the ones you have, GPT 4.1 mini, GPT 3 Turbo, whatever, but it's okay. I'll keep the 4.1 mini. Doesn't matter. Now you see I have my OpenAI agent attached here, right? Now the next thing is I'm going to do is I'm going to add some memory. I'm just going to keep simple memory, and I'm show you what this does. It asks me context window length. It's asking you how many charts should it remember? How many charts should I be able to remember? For me, I will just say, in my case, I can say 10, for example. Remember the last 10 charts, for example, and it doesn't matter. You can put whatever amount you want to put there, but I'm going to keep mine as 10, and I'm going to click out here. So I've added memory, as you can see. The next thing it's going to ask you is your data source, right? Where you're going to be getting your data from. The data that this model is going to be using, where is it going to be coming from? So I'm going to click on the plus sign here again, and it's going to ask me where I want to get my data from. So this will depend on you, where you're sourcing your data from. And so my data is on Google Sheet. So I'm going to look for Google Sheet. So you see here, Google Sheet tool. So I'm going to hit that. And when I get here, you need to be able to authenticate into your Google account. So there are some configurations you would have to do here. So let's see what you need. Credentials to connect with. You need to create credentials that will connect to your Google account. So because you cannot just go to your Google account directly, you have to create some sort of authentication. We're going to see how to do that in this class. So now when you click on create, it brings you to this place and it's asking you for some information. Look at what it asks you. It's asking you for a client ID and it's asking you for client secrets. This is so that this environment can be able to, this workflow can access your Google Sheet. Otherwise, you do not have access to your Google Sheet. So I do not have data. So let me see. Anyways, we're going to go pull any data from any public database, and put it there and upload it to Google, to a Google Sheet, and it's going to work. So let's see. For us to create those credentials that we need to navigate, we are going to go to Google Console, Cloud Console. So you go to Google Cloud Console. This takes you here. You open these, and with your Google Cloud Console, I have a couple of projects. You see you are in, it says data flow. This is my project. If I click on this, you see I have different data flows. You have PhD authentication, Introsat, data flow. I have different data flow projects here. But for your case, if you don't have anyone, you should create a new project. Give your project a name. Let's see, n8n project. Let's give it a nice name. And then you can keep this as default, and then you create. Oh, it's rejecting these characters, and so maybe I'm just going to remove all these underscores, and I'm going to create it directly. Okay, so I've created my project, so I'm going to come back here and select my project. This is still creating. Okay, it's created. So I'm going to select the n8n analysis project. This is within my Google console. Okay, so now once I'm inside here, there are a few things we are going to set up so that we can enable these to be able to read from our Google Sheet. So the first thing you are going to do is that you are going to ask yourself, what are the API keys that you need to use? So what are the services? What are the Google services? That's what I mean by API keys for those that are not understanding. What are the Google services that your agent needs to utilize? For my case, for example, it's going to be reading a Google Sheet and it's also going to be sending an email to a Gmail account. So I need to be sure that the APIs for these two services are enabled. If I needed it to access a Google Drive, I also do that, right? Or all of those, Google Calendar. People even use it to customize their calendars and set up events automatically, things like that. So for my case, I'm going to need it to do Google Sheets and Gmail. That's all I need for this project. And so the first thing I'm going to do here, you can do API. Once you start typing API, you see the option here which says API services, API and services, APIs and services. This is what we want to go to, but you could also get it from the quick access menu down here. It's here. So I can just come here directly and click on API services. And so when I come here, it takes me to this window. You see, I do not have, these are the different APIs down here. Yeah, different Google APIs. So, but I'll just come to enable API and services window. So here I'm going to search for the different APIs I need. I need a Google Sheet API. So Google Sheet. So when I search, this is the Google Sheet API. I'm going to select it. Once I select it out, it's going to not be enabled. So I'm going to enable it directly. Okay. You see now it's enabled because it's not asking you to disable, right? It's not enabled. So I'm going to go back again. Come back here and I'm looking. So the next one is going to be Gmail. That's the next one I'm looking for. So I'm going to, because I need to send a Gmail to myself. So it also needs to be able to access my Gmail. So I'm also going to enable this one. Okay, great. This has been enabled. So the next thing I will need to do, I will come to the auth consent screen. And once I'm in the auth consent screen, I'm just going to hit get started. What you want to do here is that you want to create some sort of an application. Let me say n8n app. Let's just call it n8n app. And the email, I'm going to use my email. I take next. Now, what you want to do is that you want to say that this is going to be used externally. You see what it says: available to test users with a Google account. Your app will start in testing mode and will only be available to users that use at-least test users. So you go next, and then the contact email. If those different people that you think can interact with this application, you can add their emails here, as many as possible. So I'm going to go next, and I think we finish agree. I agree. I take continue and I create. Okay. Now I've created this. You see, it's asking you to say you haven't configured an auth client for this project. So what we would do is that I'll come to create auth client. You can also do that from credentials directly. And then you have application type. It's going to be web. It's going to be a web application. And then you come down to this part that says authorize redirect URLs. Authorized redirect URLs. So here you're going to add a URL. And this is where I was telling you that the moment you change your port for your n8n, you might get a problem. Let me show you what is going to happen. Now I come back to my n8n environment. It's asking me for URL 1. So you can add many, but we just have one because we're using from n8n. So the moment you come to your workflows, it normally gives you that value, auth redirect URL. This is the value here. It gives you directly. So you're going to just copy this one. Now look at what is happening. You do not have the possibility to edit this directly from here because you see it says the default, because it's a local host, it defaults to port 5678. So if you change to your own, when you were hosting this on Docker, you're going to get some issues trying to authenticate. So I advise you do not change it if you're running on host. So it just says click to copy. I've clicked, I've copied. So I'm going to come back, where is that, here? And I'm going to paste it here, okay? I've pasted it here. And so this is the URL, http.localhost.5, blah, 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 blah. These are the credentials. So I'm going to just go ahead and click create. So when I create, it gives me something that's called a client ID, but I'm not going to pick it here, right? I'm not going to pick the client ID from here. I'm just going to take, okay, it's fine. But I'll come back to, so you see, it gives you a web client. You can click on this directly like this. And you see here, it says your client ID, additional information. It gives you a client ID here. And then it gives you something down here that's called a client secret. This is the client secret. You see, it's been encrypted so that people cannot steal it because it's actually secret. So you do not want. When I'm done, I'll come and delete it. So, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this client ID directly from here. I'll come back to my flow. You see, it asks me for the client ID here. I'm going to paste it. And then it's asking me for the client secret. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to come back to my listing, and the client secret is down here. I'm just going to click here to copy it. I come back to my workflow again, and I paste my secret there directly. And once I'm done, I'm going to save it directly. Now, when I save, I'm going to try to access, my Google Sheet, or try to log into my Google account directly from it. The moment I put it, you see it down here. So I'm going to click on this. It brings up this pop-up window. I'm going to be going in. You see, that's the name of the application that we created, n8n app. You see, it says n8n app has not completed the Google verification process. There is app is blah, 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 developer, if you are blah, blah, blah. So it rejects, it says access denied. It's refusing. So I'm going to come back to here. And then I come back to audience. When you come to your audience, I'm going to publish that app because it was still in test. So when you publish it, that means you're moving the app to production. So I'm going to just publish, and I confirm that I'm pushing to production. Now it's been pushed. Now I'm going to go back again to my flow and try to authenticate again. Once I go again, it now gives me a different message. It says Google hasn't verified this app. So the app is requesting access to sensitive information to Google account. Until the developer blah 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 verifies this app with Google, you shouldn't use it. It's just warning you. It doesn't stop you from authentication. So I'm going to go to advanced. I go down here and I choose to access it using the unsafe mode, and I take select all, and I take continue. And you say connection successful. So I said, okay, even if it's risky, I want to go. So don't stop me, right? So I've authenticated now. So everything is fine. So I've connected to my Google account for Google Sheet directly. So now everything is fine because I've set that up now. So I'm just going to come back. It's saved already. I'm just going to click back out here. Now, so if I drop down here, you see my Google Sheet account, it's already there. So everything is working. Let me come back to it. But you see, I'm not yet done because it's showing me this red exclamation mark here. So I double click on it. I come down here. So it's asking you which sheet am I going to be reading from your Google account? So which sheet am I going to be reading? And if you are working in an organization for like, or say you have a project where people are filling the data through some Google form or something, and the data keeps populating, You definitely have a Google Sheet that keeps populating all the times in your account. That keeps growing. And so we need such sort of a sheet, but I do not have one. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to go to say, let me go to, I'll go to Kaggle, right? And download any data set from Kaggle. I'll come to Kaggle. Kaggle is an online platform for data science and machine learning. It has a lot of data sets that you can go in and do projects on. If you want to know more about it, you can check it out. So I'm going to go to data sets. I'm going to look for any data set, any small data. So let me look for something that has to do with sales, for example. I don't want anything big. 44 kilobytes, 120 kilobytes. I think this is good. 7 kilobytes, that's fine. Let's download this one. So I have a CSV file there that is 7 kilobytes. That's not bad. I'll just upload it. So let's read about this data. So it says about data set. This is car sales data set, which includes information about different cars. This data set is being taken from the analysis lab for the purpose of prediction. In this, we have to see two things. First, we have see which feature has more impact on car sales and carry out result of this. Secondly, we have to train the classifier and blah, 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 blah. So when you come to the data set, you see the the columns have the manufacturer, the car model, the sales in thousands, the year, the car type, you have vehicle type, price in thousands, engine size, horsepower, wheelbase, and then the width. So those are the columns on the data set that we are going to do. So I'm going to just go ahead and hit on the download button to pull down this Google. Okay, I think it's downloaded. So we have data that we're gonna use. Yeah, I have to. Okay. So if I come to my downloads, this is the file here. This is my data here. So I need to upload this to my Google account. So I'm going to just come here directly and I pull up my Google Drive and upload this to my Google Drive. So give me a minute. Okay. I pull up my Google Drive here. Let me upload it to the SolarVis Tech folder here because I do not I want it centralized though. So I have a SolarVis Tech folder here that's shared with me in my drive. So I think I can just put it here, it's fine. I can just throw it here. So I'm going to go to file. I go to new file upload and I look for that file in my downloads, which is going to be here. And I have my car sales CSV. I upload it. So it's going to be upload. I think I tried something. I think it's uploaded. Let me click on it. So by default, you're gonna, where is it? Car sales.csv. Let me save it as a Google Sheet, right? Oh, my internet is disturbing. It says I'm offline, but I'm not offline. Let's give it a minute. Let me save this file as a Google Sheet, right? So this is the data that we have here. So now I want to show you something here. So this is the data that we downloaded. So we see all the columns we have: manufacturer, model, sales, year, blah blah blah. All this information that we have from this data. Okay, fine. So this is our data. So a few things, let's go back to our workflow and see what we need. So is asking us the document, where do we want to get it from list? No, I do not want it from a list. I want it from let's get it by ID, and I'm going to show you the ID. So if I'm getting it by ID, I'll just do this to redefine that for me, and I click to redefine it by AI, and then I double click on this, I kill it, and it's going to prompt me, and I'm going to delete this. So I come to my file, and this is normally the ID, is these things, this number, this string from here to here. That should serve as your ID. After the D before the edit thing, you can use that as your ID. I'm going to come back to my flow, and I should add that here. And then it's going to ask you sheet. Which sheet is it going to be reading? Let's just do that too as well and see which sheet we're going to be reading. And so the name of the sheet here, this is the sheet name down here. It says car sales. So I'm going to take rename, and I copy that directly. I don't want to rename it. So I'm going to come back to workflow, and I paste it here. It says car sales, and that works. So I've read the sheet by ID. I've read it by these. So let's try to test it to see if it's going to work. So let's run execute here to see if it's going to connect to that sheet. Okay, it says not executed, sheet ID not found. So we might want to close this again, come back to our Google Drive, double click, this is the file. One thing I would like to do is that most of the time, just to avoid some restrictions or something, while this is loading, I'll click share, and I'll just edit the restrictions on this file for some reason. Internet is not letting me work on. Let's hold on. Let's reload the sheet again. The internet is disturbing. Let's wait for it to complete. I'm going to click on share. I want to change the sheet restrictions to. You see the restrictions here are showing only people with the access can open the sheet. I want to change this, but I need this to work. Oh shit! Wow. Okay, now it has worked. It says anyone with the link. Anyone with the link. I'm going to keep it as anyone with the link. Okay, and then I'm going to take down. Once I do that, let me just refresh again, just to be sure that it has taken up all the changes. You come back to the access again, just confirm that the access is showing anyone. So it says anyone on the internet with the link can view. Okay, let's take it as done, that's fine. So again, I should copy this path, this key. This should be my key, my sheet key. I come back to my workflow and paste the key there. And then it's going to be asking, this one should not by name. So it should be reading this sheet by name, not by ID. So I copy the same name. I come back to my workflow. I paste it here. It says car sales. This sheet, the name that I'm talking about is the name of the sheet, this one down here. So I'm coming back to my car sales. I think it's good. I'm going to test it again and see if it's going to read the data from that sheet directly. Okay, you see, it's read the data. It says row number 2, manufacturer, Aurora, blah, 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 blah. So it's read my data directly. So that means I've successfully accessed the data. So you see, it's read my data from the sheet. This is it. As you can see the output here, this is the response. So I think we're good. We've read the data. We've been able to connect to the data that works. Now let's come back. And this has been validated. So we've touched couple of components. We have one more component to do again, which this time around we want to be able to add the option where it should be able to send an email after it does the analysis, right? So I'm going to hit here again, add another note here. So this note is going to be Gmail. I want to send a Gmail. I'm adding another note, which is Gmail tool. And again, on this note, you remember, we're going to just use the same credentials that we use for the Google Sheet for that, our n8n app. So we're going to use the same credentials for it. So if I come back to authentication, was it here? Okay, you come back here, you come to you come back to, is it going to be, let's just go back to our overview. No, that is not, oh, it's client. So this is what I was looking for. So I'm going to be copying my client ID. I come back to my flow here, paste it, come back here, and I'm going to be copying my client key again here, and I come back here and I paste it. So this, because when we were creating this project, you remember that in this project we enabled the API for Google Sheet and the API for for Gmail, right? So I'm going to take sign in again, and I go select this account. I do the same thing that I did last time and select everything. You see now it's asking me for Gmail, right? So I go continue. Okay, it has authenticated successfully. It has authenticated successfully. So let's come back and let's do. So now, just like when you are sending your email, now it's going to, you now have to customize it. So if you come to account here now, you see you have your authentication here now all set up. Now you have so now you have who is it sending to? Let me just put my email here. Let's say the subject. Let's give it, the subject can be analysis. So when you are sending an email, right, you normally have a subject, analysis highlights. And then let's add a field and say I want to change the response type to it's fine. You can leave it like that. Analysis highlight, message. So for the message, let's see what is going to be on the message is going to be what we are going to send. So let's just click it here to get the option that says define automatically by the model. So let our model define the message that's going to be on it. And since this is very important because we are using our model is going to be sending us the analysis as the message in our email, right? So you would want that to be defined by your listing. So we can test this out for now and see if we've passed all the parameters. So let's say it's asking me provide data that would normally come from AI agent node. So you say provide the data that would normally come from it. So let me say, I'll just say test email. And then I'll execute it. I want to see whether the connection was actually, so it says, it should send me an email now that says test message. So let me come to my box. Come outside here. Let me refresh. It says test email. So this is that's sent to me. So that means it was actually successful. So it's actually connected to my Gmail successfully. So it should be able to send out an email now. So I think we're good. So it's up here now. Okay, let's see. Let's test it out and see what we get. So I'm gonna send it a trigger. So before I send it out, let me see. Let me think of a very reasonable thing that you want to get, for example. Let's think of a reasonable thing that you want to get and see. Let's think of a reasonable thing that you would want to actually get. And then let's see what we get. So let's look at the data, right? In a normal sense, what would you want to do? One of the things I would want to do is, if I look at this data, let's just think of something a bit complex. Okay. Can we get the sum of the sales by manufacturer? Let's see which car sold most. Was it BMW, Acura, Chrysler, or which one? So let's go back and give our agent a command, a trigger, and see. Let me just copy this so I don't have to go and type it, because I want my prompt to be straightforward. So let me see. Right, I'm going to see access my data, and give me and what can I say? What would somebody normally ask? And say, and give me analysis. Okay, let's say, and some, let's do that. And some sales in thousands by manufacturer. Did we have manufacturer? I think by manufacturer, and give, and say generate highlights, high level. Let's do high level analysis, for example. Let's do that. Oh, I lost my message. I clicked out. I have to type it back again. Access my data and access my data command. Sum by manufacturer and give me high level analysis. Let's just run this. So once you run this, look at what's going on over here. It's now reading from the sheet. It comes back to your AI model. So the workflow has run successfully. Let's pull this up and see what it says. So let's look at what the email says. It says, email subject, sales analysis by manufacturer, top performance and key trends, email body, execution summary. Say the analysis of sales in thousands by manufacturer reviews a clear concentration of sales amongst a few key manufacturers, with Ford, Honda, Chevrolet, and Toyota leading the market. These manufacturers significantly outperform others in total sale volume. key statistics. Total manufacturers 34, highest total sales, blah, blah, blah. You see, it's giving you the analysis, it's summarizing your data, and it's giving you, say, visual chart, manufacturer total sales. It generates some form of a chart, and it gives you like this in the form of this. It's a detailed insight. Ford dominates sales by large margin, driven by strong models like F-Series, Explorer, Taurus, and Ranger. Honda follows with high sales from blah, blah, blah. So you see, it's actually, it even gives you recommendations, this serious. Okay, so send the analysis as email to boris4b@gmail.com. Send the analysis as email to boris4b@gmail.com. Let me see that. Let's see what's going on here. You see, it's running over here. Let's see if we get this. You see, it's sending an email now. It's back. I think I received an email now. Let me come back to my, I have to refresh. Okay, this is it. It gives the subject. It says analysis highlights. Subject, sales analysis by manufacturer, top performance and key trends, blah, 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 blah. You see, it sent me an email where it actually summarizes this analysis just like we saw on the output. Now, we notice that in the place of where it's supposed to put the visuals, because we've not actually customized this to actually have some level of sending out visuals, then that's why, but it actually can actually write out the analysis in the form of text and send you an email. And that means whatever emails you've customized, where is that? Oh, where's my workflow? Not this one. So whatever emails you've customized in this to work will definitely be can definitely now go into this, interact with this and get. So let's get another thing. Let's get a very simple, let's do a very simple one. What is the best selling car? How do you do it? And it's from let's say, what's the best selling car? Let's leave it like that, because we just had it by. Let me run this and see. Okay, it's a key statistics. Best selling model is Ford series. Volume, it gives you the volume. Manufacturer, Ford. Vehicle type, car, pickup, truck, system. So this is the Ford blah 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 recommendations. You see, it gives you the answer just like the way it does it. Let's get possibly drop some possible questions in the chat. Let's see that how we can add them, ask the model and see if it gives us analysis in that line. So I'm going to drop this down because some people might just do. Let's open the data set here and just look at the data set. And if you were a boss in a company that sells cars, what is it that you can possibly want to ask your analyst to pull from this data set possibly, for example? Let's get some questions about, for example, if you are a boss, what kind of questions can you go and ask that model, for example? Let's see if it actually works. But know that as many questions you're asking me, that's how it's costing me money, because every prompt I make costs me small money. But let's take the first two, for example, and test them out. Or if you think you can unmute yourself and ask it directly, I can type it out. We're going to come back to the general questions after, okay? Let's see. I'm looking at this. Let me look at this data again. You might want to buy a car based on fuel efficiency, possibly. You don't want a car where it consumes a lot of fuel. So
can we get a car that has some longevity, a car that can last longer? Can we get that data from here?
Last longer, we don't need to know whether the data that we have in our database has such a variable that talks about longevity. Have you seen a column like that?
No, I can't find.
Yeah, so you would have to work with what you have in your data, right? That's why I said this is for analysis, and you can't analyze what you don't have, right? You want to look at it in terms of what you have. We can look at engine size, for example, because that's what we have in our database. If you ask it, it will tell you that, oh, okay, let's go and ask and see. Possibly, let's see. Because we have a brain, we might get something, but it should normally work with what you have in your database. Can I know the car with the highest longevity? Let's see what it's going to say. Let me pull this up. Where is that? Can I know the car with the highest longevity? The car model with the highest longevity as indicated by the highest year resale value is the Porsche Carrera Cabrio. You see, it has to reference the column, right, Eric? Can you see that? Because if you come here, you'll see the highest year resale value. Yeah. If you come to our data set, you should see something like highest year resale value, or something like that.
Yeah, I think that is it.
Resale value.
Yes. Yeah, but I think that makes sense. That makes sense. If you have a car and you can resell it, you can use and resell. I think it's from there that is drawing that conclusion. I don't know. That's just my thought.
Yeah. Let's see what it says. So the car with the highest longevity as indicated by the highest year resale value is the Porsche Carrera Cabrio with a resale value index of 67.55. Key statistics: model, Porsche, manufacturer, highest year resale value is this. Other high longevity models, Mercedes, blah 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 blah. Details, you can get that. Luxury, blah. It gives you some information, recommendations, and things like that. All of these highlights are coming as a result of the prompts that we provided, right? The prompts that we provided in the system prompt. So you can restructure your prompt to do anything the way you want the prompt to behave. But so if you go back to our prompt, it would have highlighted these kind of things in our, let's go back to our prompt. Do I still have my ChatGPT open somewhere here? Okay, this is my prompt. My prompt was supposed to give me key statistics. It has detailed insights. You have visuals. It has recommendations. So it gives you in that same line. And then if you want it to send you an email now, you can say, okay, now email the statistics to, and it's going to send you an email. After you review the statistics, because if the statistics does not make sense, why would you ask it to send you statistics? So after you look at it and you think, this is good, and then you say, okay, send me an email with the result, and it automatically emails it to you. Okay, let's get some general questions, and then possibly it will give us some context. Let me pull this down and let's get some general questions. Do we have a lot of questions, Eric?
Yes, I think we have mostly, a lot of questions from Bestman. Bestman, he posed the question. The first one was, is the flow a network or a long chain solution embedding?
Is it a network or a long chain or a what?
Long chain solution embedding. That is the first question.
What would you define as a long chain solution embedding, Bestman? Maybe you expand it and then we know how to go about with the answer. Is Bestman still on the call?
All right, thank you for reaching out. Long chain is a solution provider. It's more like a one of the libraries used to provide networks for agentic workflow. I don't know what n8n is using behind in the back end, but I know the LangChain provides support. It's more like an infrastructure that provides support for you to to embed different models. It could be agents or different workflows, or you could use your own organic free open source, which is Networks library. So I don't know if you know the back end of this n8n, how it is developed, or you just use the front end solution.
Okay, what I know is that there are multiple platforms on which you could build agents on, right? There are different platforms on which you could build agents and workflows on, which are low code, no code, kind of for those people who don't, for people who are not really versed with development. As far as the back end is concerned, I do not know, but I know that there are multiple of them, and n8n is one of such platforms. So if you go online, for example, which AI agents platforms, workflow platforms, let's say, for example, platforms are available. So let's just give it like that. And we're going to see a couple of them. So you see LangChain is one of them. I think that's what you're asking me. So LangChain is one of them, a Go framework for building large language model applications and complex RAC, blah, 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 blah. It's highly flexible. You have AutoGen, Greek AIs. I think there are so many of them that you can use to build your, you see n8n down here is one of them. So I think if for your question, yeah, it's just one of them. This one is no code, low code platform, no code, low code. That's an example. Then this one will be developer frameworks. This, I guess this one will be highly code intensive. The LangChain you're talking about, it will be highly maybe code intensive, for example. But if for those people who are not expert developers, you have low code, no code environments like Lindsay AI, Agent Flow, Langflow. I think is this the same thing like the one you? Okay, your was LangChain, and then you have n8n as one of them. You have Enterprise AI Suite, for example. You have different options down here too as well. So it is an example of a low code, no code platform, and then LangCode is definitely one where it's more code intensive compared to n8n. So I don't know if that answers your question. But as far as the back end is concerned, I don't know how the back end actually works, but I just know that the platform gives you the possibility to build agents and workflows without necessarily having to write complicated code. Like just as you've seen today, I literally did not write any piece of code, but I'm getting my expected result. I don't know if that answers your question, Bestman.
Yeah, thank you very much. It does.
Okay. Then the next question Bestman is asking is, can the agent in the workflow reside locally in own machine or must be cloud-based?
Like you can see, I'm running this one on my local machine, so it must not be cloud-based. So the only disadvantage with this is that if once you close your computer, the workflow cannot run again, right? So when you go to the cloud, that's where it can be running automatically and sending you results. So it can run on your local machine as well as it's a cloud-based solution, but the cloud-based is paid. So, but it's the local solution that is free. So yes, you can run it in cloud and you can run it on your local machine. You must not need. I think that's one of the things that make n8n really stand out, because of the possibility to have the free version that can run on you can run it on your, and it has no time limit. You don't have a limit as to the number of like say it's going to run for 2 months, 3 months. It's free. As long as you can host it on your system, it keeps running, and you can trigger it and run your workflows without necessarily hosting it in cloud. But if you have a highly productive environment where you want things running constantly, then that's definitely when you need a cloud-driven solution. So yes, it can run on your local server and it can also run on cloud, if that answers your question.
Okay.
Right, thank you.
Then the next question, Bestman is asking is, does n8n have security checks to prevent from injection attacks to get sensitive unauthorized data from your organization?
And as you would have noticed, every data that we access from wherever our data is based, we had to give n8n the access to go to we had to pass our credentials there. So in terms of security, when you work with the n8n community, I've actually not had people raise a lot of issues, or have not actually seen somebody say, okay, through n8n my environment was attacked or something like that. So because that is a back end kind of operation, so I guess that is strongly built in things within the community. I'm part of the community. I think I signed into the community, yeah. And so when you go through the kind of issues that are raised with the community, it's not security related. So I think that is to say is quite secured, to be able to secure your credentials that you pass there to access your resources. And I would also say that it also, like you see, when we were creating all the authentications and doing all of that, it's up to you to also be able to tighten the security loops at the level of your resources. If they are in cloud, for example, I was giving it access to my cloud, my drive. And so if I have to I have to go there and make sure that I strengthen the security features at the level of my cloud environment, just to be sure that I don't get such attacks coming in, or, you know. But if it's at the level of n8n, you can, I think that security is guaranteed based on the fact that I've not actually had somebody raise such an issue within the community. But as far as the security infrastructure is built, I don't know how that looks like. I'm as an analyst, I use the front end especially, because I mean you're doing low code. Yeah. Let's get another question.
Okay, best one is still asking, how do you manage your users from overusage of your token in n8n to manage budget?
I guess this is where you would have to evaluate your user base to be able to know what to buy from OpenAI, right? So if now you have to look at the scale of work. We did some work like this for a healthcare consulting company. So they did in nutritional care. So the solution they are building is that they have a database just like our Google Sheet, but this time around they're using Postgres, where they're storing their data on. And so what is happening is that we build agents that because what is going to be happening is people who are coming in and signing for nutritional therapy, they need some form of access to ask questions about their health and the best food they can eat and things like that, right? And so we want that when these people through the company's application, the company's website, or through the application that's going to be rolled out, when these people want to interact with, get information about their health in terms of nutritional therapy, we want customized output. We don't want it to give general ChatGPT output, for example. So we want it in such a way that if our users come in and say, okay, I have headache, or I have high blood pressure, and what meals can I take, or something, and you want, for users that have actually signed in, because you sign in and then you get an account, and then you can be able to interact with our agent, of course. So what you do is that if you sign in, you can now pass a message, hey, I have high blood pressure, and I need to be able, what meals am I open to take, or what are my meal options? It should give you customized meal plans based on the meal plans that we have generated for high blood pressure, for example. It should not just go and pick public information on ChatGPT and give it to you. So in that case, we are the ones to be able to evaluate our prompts, the amount of prompts that we can be able to get, or possibly, I don't know if there is I think there's something I can actually research, because you've asked whether it's possible to say, okay, a user should not be able to send up to maybe about 20 or 30 prompts, for example. But within a production environment where you are using it for production and users are actually paying for that, I don't think it's fair, because say you rule out a chatbot, for example, within your application, like the one we are talking about, and you expect your users to be interacting with this and getting a response from the database. It will not really be fair to say you want your users not to ask more than 5 messages. I mean, it could also be a possibility where this is what I too have noticed with some of these chatbots is that when you ask 1, 2, 3, 4 messages, what happens is that it now tells you that, and these are logics that your developers can build in, okay? It now says, when you ask 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it now says, okay, I was an AI agent that was responding to you. Let me connect you with a human agent, for example. And that's the way to stop them from prompting kind of thing, right? And then it now brings up some contact, or it now directly contacts somebody who is available, and then they respond to you. That way, you limit the number of questions that a user can ask. So I think it just depends on how your business logic can work, and then it also now can relate to how much tokens you need to buy from your LLM provider, be it ChatGPT or Gemini or DeepSeek, or which one. So yeah, I think that is a logic that if you want to limit the number of prompts, I think you can build in such a logic, which your developers should be able to build in if they want to roll out such a chatbot for production. I don't know if that goes away to answer your question, best man.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay. The next question is still from Bestman. Bestman has been on fire. Can we use this workflow to create a business website for providing data required for training models? So website or businesses that provide or produce marketable data like price of goods and sales of economics or scales of economies that are not documented or having API access can use this n8n to provide such data by loading the data in Google Worksheets with API hooks that can be monetized.
What I can say is that now let me say what I've done. I've done a couple of things with workflows that have actually worked. I have created workflows that read data from a certain source, process that data, and output that data to another source. You understand? I even remember a team of guys who reached out to me. They are into this, how do you call it? How do people call it? This online trading thing where you monitor trends of things like that. Those people do trading online.
That's Forex.
Yeah, some sort of this Forex trading kind of things. They were consulting, and they were thinking of a solution where they can always come and trigger their flows to go and into the trading database and pick up data from there and give them heads up into what is happening in terms of the trends and things like that, right? So it's possible you be those flows. In terms of being able to read data, so now this is what I'll say. If you have your data source, and then you know what the results you want to get from that data, and then you know what you want to generate that can be monetized, what a workflow can do is that if this was supposed to be some sort of a redundant task that you are going to be doing, definitely you can generate a flow that can take away that redundantness from that task, such a way that whenever you need the results, you can only just go and prompt it and get the output that you want. That's what I can say. So workflows generally are there to take away the redundant things that you're going to be doing on a daily basis, and also be able to automate things and make them easier for you. So just imagine like the case of the nutritional therapy we are talking about. Just imagine that if you needed to employ people, you needed to employ people who are going to be responding to every client who comes in to ask questions about nutritional therapy, all your users that are saying, if you have 1 million users that are saying, how many people do you think can really be available to attend to these users all the times when they are asking questions? I know, can you imagine that? So it's business wise, it's not feasible. It doesn't add up. So, but you can have agents that are available to respond to these users at any time T. And just like we said, if you think that a user has over asked questions and you want to limit them as to the number of prompts they can send or generate, so what you want to do is that after you can loop in your logic to say after a number of prompts, and then you can call a human agent to come in and intervene kind of thing, right? So that way, you can be able to manage your business sensitive, and you have it in such a way that some users can even just come and send one prompt and get their result, and they don't have to send another prompt again. And that way it reduces the number of people you have to employ in terms of cost and everything. So you can monetize these workflows depending on your business logic and depending on what results you want to get. But as long as you can take away the redundant task that people would have to be doing manually on daily basis. Basically, I can say anything that you are doing within your environment that is redundant, you can actually automate it if it's possible to create that pipeline that can automate it. It's possible. So, and that will go a long way to maybe generate you some income or something, or save you some money. So I don't know if that is the kind of understanding you want from that, but if it's not clear, then you maybe clarify the question again, and we can deliberate about it. But it's something that can actually save you money, and I've seen people do that. Best man.
Yeah, it's
Is
fair, and I think
that
for
the
me
kind
it's
of thing
the
you wanted to understand?
hello.
Yes.
Yes, that's what I want to understand because I'm trading, so but I don't have enough data in API format to trade local stocks. So this could be a solution for me, and I can imagine how many people will need such solution, especially if the data is clean.
Okay, let's evaluate such a scenario, right? You're trading. What are the things you need to be able to trade,
Yes,
for
I'm
example?
building a trading bot.
Okay. What are so what is this trading bot that you want? What is it definitely going to be
Trading
doing?
requires the data. You need the data to train your
Okay.
models.
Okay.
Then the models will now be used to generate signals for trade.
What you're saying is that you want to create custom models. Is that what you're saying? Now, in a workflow like this is what I can recommend.
Yes.
In a workflow like
Custom,
this,
models.
yeah, in a workflow like this, what I can say is that if you're creating a custom model, it's like building your own brain. That's what you're saying. It's like building your own brain, right? But if you don't want to build your own brain and you want to buy an API that you can use one of these. But if you're creating a custom model, what you're saying is that you're building your own brain. That's what you're saying. So that is a different story. That's where we now want to come in and see how we can be a large language model where we'll be looking at neural networks and all of that. That's a different thing. But assuming you successfully build such a brain, which you're going to call best man model, for example, and you deploy that model to production, then that will serve the purpose of this brain here, which you will not need to buy an API from, say OpenAI or Gemini or something. And so you can directly host it, write an API for that, and then use it for the agents that you're going to build with your environment within your environment. And in that case, you don't even need to link it to the database, because if you have a pipeline, an ML ops pipeline that keeps feeding that model with, say, I don't know how you get your data for your trading. Let's say the trading data keeps updating every day, and you have a pipeline that is possible to be capturing this trading data and feeding and retraining your model, and it keeps updating, then it's fine, right? In that case, but if you don't, assuming you train the model once and it's done and you just keep it there, but then you want in such a way that when people come and go and send a prompt to that model, you want it to also be able to give them data based on current happenings. So what you will do is that you will take your database, which is updating currently, and connect it to your agent. Take the brain that you've developed, connect it to your agent. When people come and trigger it through maybe, say, a request that can be a chat, is going to query your agent, which is your brain that you built, because you've trained that brain with the kind of data that it needs to be able to process that information. Again, why you want a large language model is because large language models have the ability to write, right? You like to process huge chunks of data, and they have been trained with so much data. Like, you can imagine how much data ChatGPT has been able to train with, and be able to process that data and output that data, and use your database to be able to customize the output they are giving, like just like we were seeing in our case here, where we saw that when I asked my chat, my agent a question, it was able to respond based on the data on which I connected it to. But ChatGPT, you can also go to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT that what is the highest selling car, or what's the car with the highest longevity, and ChatGPT is going to give you a kind of answer. Maybe it's not going to be customized to the one that based on our database, right? So these are the kind of things that you might want to do. So you have to evaluate your business logic. Do you have the data? Can you develop the brain, which is the model, the large language model? Can you create one yourself and deploy it? If you cannot, then I would advise you stick to you just have your database and make sure your database is structured. And then you link your database to your agent and then get an API for the large language model for any one of your choice and link it to your agent. And that is going to be working for you. And so whichever users that are going to be coming to your platform to trade should have a cost that they will pay. And that cost should go also to pay for your API that you're going to be doing. Because trust me, you can think of how much was used to create a model like ChatGPT, right? So generating a large language model, training a large language model and deploying it can really be some sort of pain and costly though. But it's not impossible. But if you can do it, you can do it. But if not, get a database, get a large language model, link it in the form of an agent like this, and then decide how you want your users to get output. And then when they come in, if they want to ask questions like what are the predictions for their trading this week or what is going to happen, they can just query it directly. It's going to cost you some money, but of course, if your users are paying for that, then that answers it. I don't know if it fits into your business logic, best man. That's just my quick thought.
I think it does. I was thinking of a situation wherein you're sending your output to your email as the feedback from this whole pipeline. If that output could be sent to an API hook, so other people that need such data can plug into it. That's what I was saying. But I think it will work based on what you've done.
I think I hear what you're saying. So you're saying that you are the one who is going to, you build the agent, you trigger the agent to query the data, and then sends out that data to some sort of API or something, and then you sell the output. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
It's very possible now. It's very possible as long as you can generate the right information that the people, the audience that you are targeting need. You can email them the output, or you can output that you can output the results to say for example, you can output it to a database and you have an application just linked to it or some API or something. And then you have users subscribe to be able to be seeing the results that you are outputting on daily basis or on monthly basis or on weekly basis, right? It's possible. And in a case where you want to look at setup like this, if you have the database, you connect to your database, buy your tokens from say ChatGPT or whatever, link it to your agent. Every day you come and trigger it. For example, give me updated trading indicators for today, and email them to your API that you have connected to your output. For in this case, it's a Gmail, so you get a different API. In this case, we're using the Google API. So in your case, you have a different API possibly. And then you say, and send it to that to the given API that you've connected here. And it's going to do that. And then if that API's interface is something that you have users who have to sign into it, and they have a subscription fee, that means every day when you give them updates, they have to sign in, see what is happening in the trading market, use the predictions that you've predicted and sent based on your model, and then they use it to do their trade. Is that possible? That's feasible, right? Do you understand that?
Yes. Yeah, I understand. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Do we have some other questions, Eric? I see Kwasai's hand has been up for a while. Eric?
Okay, good afternoon. Okay, so for me, I'm a student. So for me, I want to throw more light on the monetization part. For me, what I've done with n8n is I went to this pharmacy, right? And I explained a problem to them. I told them, you know what, mostly when people buy medicine or drugs from the pharmacy, the time they give to them to take the medicine, they don't follow the time. So I'd already built the agent, but I was just explaining a problem to them. and they bought into the idea. And I told them I have a solution. So basically, the solution was I have a QR code, right? When someone buys medicine from a pharmacy, right? They ask the person, "Do you want to be receiving do you want to be receiving alert on when you are supposed to take your medicine?" And they said, okay, they are interested. So basically, when they buy the medicine, they take their phone, scan the QR code. The QR code gives you a form. You've just filled the form. Then the time you are supposed to take the medicines, you just select it on the form. When the time is due, a call is placed to your phone, and you receive a voice message in the language you selected yourself. So if it's English, it will tell you are supposed to take paracetamol, maybe 2. If it's in the evening too, it will call you and tell you. So for me, that's how I monetize the, how do you call it?
Beautiful.
I get money out of it, right?
Beautiful.
So I think the sky is the limit when it comes to it's just a tool. It depends on how you use it, right?
Exactly.
And
It depends on your
I also
use
heard
case.
someone talking about the money in respect to the agent, like the AI models, right? For me, what I've done is there's this, we have models that you can host locally on your machine, right? Those ones you do not pay, right? So what I do is I host those ones on my machine. I host them on a server somewhere. For that one, I'll pay. But for the answers the model provides to the questions or the chat people access the model, I don't pay because it's a local model which is running on something I've hosted myself. So if you are worried about buying how do you call it, paying for ChatGPT and the rest, like I said, there's a local model which you can use. There are also some free models when it comes to the agents, right? There are some free models, but then they are not really comparing them to ChatGPT. I don't think they are the best. At times they give answers which are not accurate, but at least they do the work for you in some way. So for me, like I've explored into n8n a whole lot of time. I think it's a powerful tool. I do a lot of things with it, just that I've not really had the time to sit down and, how do you call it, deploy a lot of things out of it because I have a lot of things going for me. I have to learn too. So basically, that's it for me. Recently, the project I'm working on is a marketplace, right? So basically, the idea is people buy from the local market, right? So instead of building an app where people have to download the app and say they want to buy tomato and all those things, what I've done is you chat on WhatsApp, right? So you just pick your WhatsApp, you chat a number and say, "Oh, I want to buy tomatoes." Then the reply will be, "Okay, we have." Because I have data in my database somewhere, immediately you chat, it will give you the price of tomatoes in a certain market. You just select what you want to do. Then someone will pick the request app. An agent will pick the request app and do the buying for you and do the delivery for you. So the delivery, everything, you see it in the chat. When the person is done buying, the person will tell you, "I'm done." Then you get a response on your WhatsApp that, okay, the person is done. This is the delivery. This, that. So basically, I think it's a tool. It's a very powerful tool, but it depends on what you want to achieve and what you want to do with it. For me, I've done a lot of things that I think the sky is the limit. Just I have to learn. So at times I just put it somewhere and move on with my life. So basically that's that.
Thank you very much, Kwasai. You see, it's a power. You see, you just need to have your business solution in your head, and then you see how you can integrate it within an environment like this. And that's why when we started this, I told you that you're just seeing the possibility of the things out there, right? You know that there is something like this. Now you can explore the possibility of using this. As I've seen people do complicated things with this, that at times I begin to imagine that this is actually really possible. Yes. You see workflows that are long, and they flow to the end. This is a very simple workflow. This is not a complicated workflow, but you can build. I built one for my PhD work that was analyzing chunks of data from different websites and extracting specific kind of information. So whenever a certain paper is uploaded that meets the categories of my PhD work, it triggers this from the different publication side. It triggers the workflow, and the workflow picks that paper, extracts the information I need from it, and then populates a Google Sheet with it. That becomes my data source that I'll end up analyzing that Google Sheet and using it to write my paper. So, I mean, You can do as many different things as you want with this kind of a workflow. Let's get some
Awesome,
other
awesome.
reactions.
Let's get the last question from Ola, and then we wrap up. The last question, Ola is asking, I have a website created with React Node.js with a chat feature. How can I incorporate n8n into my website to power the chat?
How do I answer this? I don't know how developers will move that when you develop a workflow like this. I don't know. I mean, the developers on the call can tell you how to get this integrated into your website. I'll build this flow if I need it to be integrated to a website. I'll just call, because n8n is a Node.js application, so it should work very well with what you're talking about, Ola. But if you're a developer, once this has been integrated, I think somebody on the call who is versed with, I think Kwasai can help you.
Kwasai wants to respond to
that.
Yeah,
Kwasai can be able to tell you how to take this workflow and integrate it to your website.
Yeah, I think so for him, right? What he's supposed to do is, like, if this was, so what we have on the screen, right? Let's say this is the chat. Normally it allows you to, it gives you a URL, right? Which allows the public to interface with it, right? So for him, what he's supposed to do is in his React project, right? He just have to call this URL, just build an interface on it. Yes, and just call this URL in his space, and that's all. Anybody who chats to with this URL, that will be all. So he doesn't have to do much.
I don't know if it's Ola. Ola, did you get that? This is the URL he's referring to. That's the URL that I turned on to be publicly available. This
that is able to integrate this URL. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
As a developer, you should be able to know how to put this URL into your chat prompt or whatever thing that you are using. And that should be able to help you trigger the flow. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay.
So if I have my chat bot, I can reference that URL to connect to that chat bot in my application. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I think we don't have any other question again. So I think it's been an amazing, powerful session. I myself have learned a lot. I'm just thinking of how I can integrate this within my CI/CD pipelines or within my workflows.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before we go, can you share this? Can you share the recording? I would like to at least do something as simple as this, and then perhaps build on it. And I would appreciate if you can share the recording. And
yes, the recording will be shared.
Yeah.
Did you register through the Zoom link? Did you register?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Okay, you're going to receive an email with the replay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And please, when you receive the link, kindly share it out there for other people, maybe within your network or within your team. Your team members who might want to have this, kindly just feel free to share the link. We are going to have it uploaded on our YouTube channel. You can check it out if you don't receive the email, or maybe you might receive the email into your spam. You can check our YouTube channel. I'm going to drop our community link. You can follow us on social. Pardon?
I think you should just do that now. I'm saying that
yes, I'm just doing that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm doing that right now. So I'll just drop our social media handles. You can follow us because we're going to update all of this on our social media handles, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, right, and also our WhatsApp community. All of this will be made available on this on the platform. So these are our social media handles. So you can follow us, join our community on WhatsApp. You receive every update, right? You receive every update. So Prof, maybe you have the last word before I wrap up the session. But before I wrap up the session, let me just put this out here, right? So for those who just joined, maybe you just joined within the session. You are Solavis Technologies Institute. I said earlier on that this is not a bootcamp. right? This is not a boot camp. This is a community where you learn skills, the training skills, the high in demand skills, skills that can transform your business, your organization, right? And we are seeing it live today. People are already talking about ideas. Nobody's talking about getting a job, right? People are just talking about how they can, build solutions with the tool we just learned today. And so this is what we do at Solavis Tech. We are a training community. We offer training on cloud computing and AWS DevOps, data science and machine learning and AI, where Boris here is our lead facilitator for the data science and machine learning and AI program. There are also tutors based in Nigeria who are part of the community. We also have some based in the US. And then we also offering training on cybersecurity where Kevin, he was here earlier on the call. He's based in Kenya, where he is the lead facilitator for our cybersecurity program. He's also our CTO. So when it comes to some of these tools and solutions, he is the one that bring them up for our community. So coming up next year, right? You might start planning your year as from today. You don't plan your new year as from January, right? So January we are going to kickstart new cohorts for all of these 3 programs that I've enlisted, right? And these are intensive programs. They are not crash courses. They are not essential courses. They are not fundamentals, right? We want to make sure that once you join our community, you receive a full package of our training that can change your career, that can transform your career, transform your business in every aspect. You're going to get the foundations. You're going to get the projects. You're going to get, an understanding of the concept broken down, right? Boris is here. He can tell you more about it, right? Yes, how everything is done. Currently, we'll be rounding up 2 of our batches in cybersecurity and data science and machine learning. Next week, they are going to be graduating. And so next year, like I said, we are going to embark fully on our new cohorts, right? If you want to know about it, you can just reach out. You can reach out to me, maybe on our community. My name is just Eric, I'm the admin. Or you can just reach out to me here on Zoom, and then we can get started. You want to get more details and the benefits, right? And just to add to the benefits, let me just say it here. When you join our community, we are going to help you optimize your LinkedIn profile, right? Because these are platforms that you're going to get, your customers, employers, connect with professionals in the field. And so we want to make sure that your LinkedIn profile is optimized, right? And another good thing about our community is that if you are the kind that is looking for jobs out there, we train you on how to handle the interviews, right? You might be technically sound enough, but if you can't communicate well on an interview, then you're going to, you're not going to make it in the job market, right? And then also, the good thing about our community is that we help you, support you on your job. You've gotten a job, and probably sometimes you're given a task, you don't know how to go about it, right? We have experienced people in our community that can help you say, hey, you've been given a task to do this, right? They can help you go through that, that first session, that first period in your, in your job, right? So all of this we are offering for free. We are not charging for all of this, but the training, we need to support the community. We need to support our trainers. That's what we're charging for. So if you want to know more about it, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to Boris. We also have our former students here, best man, right? Who was, bombarding a lot of questions and that is building a lot of solutions. We also had Dr. Tony here. Dr. Tony is building a solution that he wants to solve the problem of glaucoma. Glaucoma, we know, is an eye problem, an eye disease. He's also building a solution based in Nigeria, right? We had a couple of students to Constance who was on the platform. So these people are all part of the community. So we can't wait to have you to join us, and we will be able to change your story. It doesn't matter your background, whether you have tech skills and IT background or not. We can be able to, help you. I didn't have any IT background, but this is me, 5 years in cloud. I'm able to do it. So if I did it, know that you too can do it. Yeah, so Prof. Boris, I want to give you the floor. Maybe you can wrap up and then I close the session.
Okay, before then, how can we reach out to you?
Okay, let me just drop my number here on the chat, my WhatsApp number. I'm just going to put it here. Anyone can.
Okay, I've
post
also
2, 3.
connected on WhatsApp. You can. I'm waiting for the admin to approve.
Sure. You'll be approved. Sure.
Okay.
So this is my number here. 43270.
Then also, you didn't send the YouTube channel, the link.
Oh, okay. I'm going to drop it. Right away.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome.
We've not
Eric,
seen the number.
Yes.
as
Yes,
you are
Prof.
also dropping, it's also good to call it on air for those who will be watching the recordings. They cannot have access to what we've shared on the chat. But if you give
Okay,
the
right.
LinkedIn name and the YouTube name, the channel names, they can also just search those and be able to send requests to
Exactly.
us. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for the catch, Prof. So yes, for our LinkedIn profile, you can just check it on Solavis Technologies Institute, right? It's in full. It's not Solavis Tech. Solavis Technologies Institute. LinkedIn, you're going to see us there with our logo, and then on Facebook, is Solavis Tech, right? Solavis Tech. You can see that on Facebook, and then on YouTube, we are Solavis Technologies Institute. That's the name. You're going to see our logo is there with the S there, and then yeah. And then for my number, the number that I've just put here is +233, right? +233. I'm based in Ghana, Accra precisely. +233 5700 43270. 43270. So that is my contact. You can reach out to me on WhatsApp. Yeah, so let me drop the YouTube here for those who want to join immediately. Yes, YouTube. This is our YouTube. Okay, so YouTube. So this is our YouTube channel. So you can just click on it and then you follow us. You get, for our past projects, you can also visit them. Our past podcast session, you see them on our channel. Yeah. So Prof, let me hand over to you to.
Thank you, Eric. I don't know if you can hear me. I think.
Yes.
Okay, great. So thank you everyone for making our time to follow this session to the end. So the idea here was just to show you what is available out there and what you can be able to do with tools like this. So feel free, look into other resources. There are a lot of resources out there as far as n8n is concerned, agentic AI is concerned. Please be able to build solutions that change the world and put some money in your pocket. So stay connected with our community. We have more projects coming up like this where we jump in from time to time to run short projects like this. You can replicate this project, add them to your resume if you're a job searcher, and this can speak into some competence as to some of the things that you can do. So on that note, let me thank you all for coming once more, and hope that we keep connected in the community and get to do some more exciting things. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much,
Eric.
Prof. Okay, thank you so much, Prof. Thank you everyone for joining the session. And like we said, let's keep in touch. Let's build together, and let's grow together. Thank you all for being part of the session. Bye.
Bye-bye.